just going to run through the GS120L course with you. So right now I'm in your course, and obviously you've taught GS120 before and you're familiar with Pathway. So I guess I'll just show you kind of what's different. So in the 120L, they have speaking partners that they meet with every week. So this first lesson one is going to be different than all the rest of the lessons. So you'll want to make sure all your students view this Read Me First document. It has some good stuff in here for them to know. They can get Pathway, or they can get Microsoft Word through Pathway. And then this explains a little bit about the Speaking Partner Program. So you're going to want to make sure that everybody reads that Read Me First document. And then the Lesson 1 preview is always a great place to go if you're concerned about which assignments are due that week or when they're due. It's also a great place to direct your students if they're wondering, because it lists everything and it links you directly to those assignments. So this week they have the Introduce Yourself discussion board. They need to do their speaking partner application, Pathway relationship model, marking the beginning. Those are just quizzes. And then they have the topic introduction and listening practice, intro to vocabulary strategies, and those things are going to be different for you than they were in the GS120. And then just the gathering stuff. And then, so they have the attendance report, application activity, and the learning report, which is all the same, but then they'll also have a vocabulary quiz each week. So that's lesson 1, and then let me show you what lesson 2 looks like. It's a little bit different. There's definitely a few more assignments that they'll be doing in lesson 2. So if we go up here to the Getting Started, I'll show you the preview on here and then we'll go through into individual assignments. So every week they have a peer discussion appointment. That's where the Pathway missionaries at their gathering in lesson 1 should assign them a peer partner from their gathering, and then they are supposed to meet in person with that individual once a week, and they will discuss the lesson and various things like that. Then they have the Speaking to Partner appointment, which is where they meet with a native English speaker, usually virtually, and then they also have that once a week. So then these are assignments that are going to be a little different for you. So they have the listening and speaking log. So every week each student has to keep a listening and speaking log. So Monday through Friday they have to complete an activity, either listening to English or speaking English. And there's a whole list of things they can do. You can also give them outside resources. If there's something that you feel prompted to share with them, it can count towards that as well. For instance, I share spiritual videos every week that go along with the lesson, and I let them count those towards their listening and speaking log if they watch it. So that's kind of up to your discretion. I'll go a little more into detail when we actually look at the assignment. Then they have the topic introduction and listening practice. Then the discussion board is the same. So I'm sure you know, but in GS120 and GS120L, the topics are the same each week, and the application activity is the same. Other than that, it's a little bit different. So then they also have a study skill where they learn asking and answering questions, and they'll have one of those every week. And then they have a reading and writing practice. And then they have scripture study and learn a hymn. And all of those are mostly just to give them practice with English. So that's where the extra 2 credits comes in, is in all these English enhancement activities. Then for post-gathering, everything is the same except for the vocabulary quiz. And there's two parts to the vocabulary quizzes. So the first part is they're given 5 vocabulary words and they have to create their own sentences, and then you will grade that manually. You also grade the reading and writing practice and the listening speaking log and the application activity and the discussion board, I guess. So those are all the things that you'll grade manually, and I'll go ahead and show you that in the gradebook in a minute. And it's also a good idea just to jump in the learning report from time to time, because that's where they're going to report on their peer partner discussion and their speaking partner discussion. So it's a good idea to check on that occasionally when you have time and make sure that they are actually doing that and reporting on it accordingly. So now we'll just go back up here to the folders, and I'll kind of walk you through each assignment that's new to you. Okay, so listening speaking log. So every week they'll have this one in the pre-gathering that says start your listening speaking log, and then in the post-gathering folder is where they actually submit it. So it gives you right here intermediate activities, advanced activities, and these are just some ideas. Like I said, you can also include ideas for them, such as, listen to devotional, listen to this great talk by Elder Holland. I found this video about using commas in appropriate places. Anything like that, you're welcome to share with them and let them know they can count it towards this activity. But it's, they can do easy things like just listening to music in English, speaking with someone else in English. There's a lot of things they can do. So it's kind of a fun activity if your students go about it with the right attitude. I've seen huge improvements from some of my students from these activities. So what you're going to look for is they have to write the number of the activity they chose, what they did, what they learned, and any cultural or personal insights that they gained from the activity. And that's what you'll be grading on, is how well they answer those questions and to what depth. Is kind of up to you, as long as they're giving substantial answers. Then they should be getting a pretty good grade there. Okay, so there's listening speaking log. Okay, then they have the topic introduction and listening practice. So this lesson 2 will be on the learning model. So it will give them some vocabulary words that they need to know in order to do the activity. So basically all of these words will be in the video. So I've had some students question the vocabulary definitions in the past, but one thing that I just like to point out is the definition they're giving for this word is for this particular context of this video. So, for example, one of these words might have a different meaning in a different context, but the definition they give is only for the context for this particular assignment. So, let me know if that makes sense. Anyway, so then it says, watch this video, and then here's the 5 principles, watch some more videos, and then it gives them quite a bit of reading, quite a few videos to watch every week, and then once they've done all of that, they will have a quiz. So it's important to tell them, do not take the quiz until you have read through everything completely. So then there's the quiz right here, Lesson 2, Topic Introduction Listening Practice, and that will be automatically graded. So you just kind of need to monitor once in a while to make sure if students have any questions or anything. Okay, then we have the discussion board, which is the same. and then they'll get into their study skill. So each week they'll learn a new study skill for English. It usually comes in the form of a PowerPoint or video presentation, and then it will kind of break it up for them where they learn about it, and it will give them charts, it will give them different things to practice, and then they'll take a quiz. So same thing, it will be automatically graded. You just probably need to check and make sure students are doing it, seeing if anyone has any questions. And then they'll have the reading and writing practice. So this one is one that you will have to grade manually. So it will give them some more vocabulary that will be used in this particular assignment. And it bolds where the vocabulary is so they can see it, so if they need to go back up and figure out the vocabulary, they can. And then it will give them some directions on the practice on what to do. So answer these 3 questions and then submit, and then that is something, and that's due every Wednesday, and that's something that you'll grade manually. Okay, let's see. So they have a reading and writing practice directions where they learn the new vocabulary, read an article, or watch a video. Then they'll have the practice assignment, which you grade, and then they also have a reading and writing practice quiz, which is automatically graded. Then they'll have the scripture study. That's pretty straightforward. They just learn a scripture, and then they can read it in their native language, and then they practice reading it in English. They practice reading it with the pictures, and then they take a quiz. That's automatically graded. And learn a hymn, kind of the same idea. They listen to the hymn, and they practice it, and then they take a quiz, which is automatically graded. So then gathering folder is the same, so we'll hop into the post-gathering folder. The discussion board is the same, application activity is the same, and then you'll see there's a vocabulary list right here. So this will give them all the vocabulary for the whole week. And then they need to study that because they will then take a quiz. So here's the quiz directions. So there's 2 parts to this quiz, as I mentioned before. So step 1, review. Assess is where they do the 2 different parts. So part 1 is writing. So it gives them these 5 words, and they have to write 1 sentence. And then part 2 is multiple choice quiz about the vocabulary, and that's automatically graded. So part 1 you will grade manually. A lot of instructors like to take the opportunity here to provide extra grammar feedback. It's not required. Really what you are checking for is to make sure they use the correct verb in the correct form. So to desire, did they use it in verb form? And did it make sense in the sentence? That's what you're grading on. But then I also like to go ahead and correct 2 of their sentences every week and just explain what's wrong with them. So I don't take any points off for grammatical errors unless it's particular to the vocabulary word. But then I'll just write something like your sentence, and then I'll write their sentence, and then I'll say these are the errors, and then I'll write better sentence, and then I'll write their sentence corrected. Some people will pick out a few sentences and send them out to the group saying, like, here's some great examples of using this sentence appropriately. There's a lot of things you can do with it, or you can just stick to the basics and grade it. So let me know if you have any questions there. Some people like to give grammar feedback in the discussion board. There's a lot of different things. And then there's just the learning report. And like I said, it's a good idea just to hop in there occasionally, read about the peer partner discussion and the speaking partner discussion. So anyway, that is all the assignments. Let me know if you have any questions about them or if there's anything else I can help with. So anyway, thanks.